Hello, everyone. This is take 2 on lesson D3 interval aural skills for this theory Thursday. If you watched the last video, it was kind of skippy, so I tried to do it again for you guys. So let's go ahead and get right to it. After this lesson, you'll be able to identify intervals with their modifiers in a piece of music and identify each interval by its sound, both descending and ascending. Now, this is new for those of you who have gone through this lesson last year. Last year, we just did when the interval is going up. This time we're doing up and down for most of the intervals. So we've discussed before, a melodic interval is one where two notes are played in sequence, one after the other. So you're going to hear two notes, one after the other, rather than together. A harmonic interval is when they're played together. And yes, you can learn what they sound like and be able to identify them just by what they sound like. But it's a lot easier to start with melodic because they are separated. So we have all of our intervals here. Minor and major second, minor and major third, perfect fourth, tritone, perfect fifth, minor and major sixth, minor and major seventh, and perfect eighth or octave. So a couple things to keep in mind. Like I said, we're going both up and down for most of these intervals because it's important to recognize what it sounds like when most of these intervals are going both directions. Also, the songs and tunes that I give you to help you remember each interval are the ones that help me. Now, there might be some of these examples that you don't know, and that's okay. Part of the assignment we're going to be doing today is, after this is over, is figuring out what works for you, what will help you remember it best. So, if you don't know a song that I have listed here, don't worry about it too much. It's going to be okay. You're going to be figuring out what works best for you in a bit. Let's go ahead and get right to it. So, we have the minor second. As we've talked about in class several times, when you're going up, the minor second sounds like the theme from Jaws. Now, it really doesn't matter if it's high or low. Now, obviously, it's more recognizable if it's low, right? Right. So you guys all have heard that before and go, "Oh, that's the theme from Jaws." That's a minor second, a half step, but it can be wherever you want it to be. A medium-sized shark, baby shark, do 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 do. It can just be whatever high or low it is. It's still a minor second going up. Now, when we're talking about going down, a minor second sounds like the theme from Jurassic Park. Okay, which again you should be familiar with as well. But if that's not a thing that helps you, then we'll do a different song for you later. So, next up is the major second. When you go up the major second, that is a whole step. Then it's going to sound like Happy Birthday. Pretty easy. When you go down, it sounds like Mary Had a Little Lamb. Okay, so going up is Happy Birthday. Going down is Mary Had a Little Lamb. The minor third going up sounds like Brahms' Lullaby. Even if you do not know who Brahms is, you should know his song. Okay, a very commonly known song. Going down, it sounds like Frosty the Snowman. Frosty the Snowman. Okay, no matter where it is. Frosty the Snowman. Okay, so going down is Frosty the Snowman. Going up is Brahms' Lullaby. For the major third, going up the major third sounds like the beginning of When the Saints Go Marching In. Okay, just that, oh when, that's the major third. Going down, it sounds like the beginning of Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. Right? So, oh, when the saints and swing, swing low, sweet chariot. Okay, that's the major third. The perfect fourth. Going up sounds like Wagner's Wedding March, which you all should know as Here Comes the Bride. Going down, it sounds like I've been working on the railroad. I've been working on the railroad. You might notice that I've been working on the railroad also goes down and up. It goes both directions. So if you want to just use I've been working on the railroad for going up and down, that's up to you. The tritone, everyone's favorite dissonant interval. Regardless of what direction we're going, the tritone does not sound good. If you go up, the tritone sounds like the opening to The Simpsons. And you might notice that if you're going to complete the phrase The Simpsons, then the sons has to be up on that perfect fifth, the next interval up. Because you never leave a tritone unresolved. Tritones always need to be resolved. So we have that tritone that then resolves itself. Going down, it sounds like the opening to Saint-Saëns' Danse Macabre, which is one of my favorite classical pieces. Okay, one of my favorite because it's so dissonant, it's so creepy. Now, Danse Macabre is about the dead and death itself having a dance. So, of course, it sounds creepy. Of course, it sounds very dissonant and weird and strange. That's on purpose. If you don't know Danse Macabre, then please make sure that you listen to it when we do our assignment later on. And the perfect fifth is the last interval until the octave that you should know both going up and down. So going up, the perfect fifth sounds like the theme from Star Wars. Right? There's Star Wars right there. Bum, bum, ba-da-da-dun-dun. Perfect fifth is Star Wars. Perfect fifth going down sounds like What Do You Do with a Drunken Sailor? What do you do with a drunken sailor? What do you do with a drunken sailor? Okay, that's a perfect fifth right there. Let's move on. The minor sixth is an interval that you have heard before, even if you don't realize it. The minor sixth sounds like Scott Joplin's The Entertainer, which you might know better as the Ice Cream Truck song. Now, it's not the first couple of notes of the song, it's the one that's the most noticeable, the one you know the most from the Ice Cream Truck song. So not those first two, it's the next two. Okay, so that interval right there is the minor sixth. So when you hear that, ba-da-da-da-da-da, that's the minor sixth. The major sixth sounds like the opening to the song Jingle Bells when you think dashing through the snow, right? Dashing. Okay, no matter where you are, it sounds like that. Dashing through the snow is the major sixth. The minor seventh, this is the one that you might not know if you don't know musicals very well, but it sounds like the first two notes of the song Somewhere from West Side Story. The first words of the song is, there's a place for us. It's a very large interval that you don't hear very often in many songs, but that's probably the most famous example, which is the reason I use it. There's a place for us is the minor seventh. The major seventh, like the tritone, is dissonant. Just move that over there, out of the way. So it really wants to resolve itself to an octave, and it almost always does so. So the example that you're going to be most familiar with is a-ha's Take on Me. Okay? Take on me. And it resolves itself up to that octave, just like I said. Take on me. And finally, try that again. Stop it. Is the octave, the perfect eighth. So lots of songs use that octave jump, but the most well-known is definitely going to be Somewhere Over the Rainbow from The Wizard of Oz. Somewhere over the rainbow is that octave jump up. Now going down, probably the most famous song that goes down is The Lonely Goat Herd. High on a hill is a lonely goat herd. Okay, if you don't know that song, that's okay. There's other options you can look at as well. But those are the most famous songs that use that perfect octave jump. Somewhere and high on a hill is alone. And you might notice the lonely goat herd again goes both up and down. So if you want to use that as your example for both up and down, that's fine. So you might ask yourself, why do I care? Well, being able to identify those intervals is one of the most important parts of aural skills, which is a vital musical ability. Now, if you're a singer, having this ability to be able to hear those intervals in your head and just go bum, 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 means that you can walk into an audition or a performance and just sing a melody that you've never heard before right off a sheet of music. I've had to do this before. I've had to walk into an audition and they gave me a piece of music and said, "Here, you're going to sing this," and I had to go, "I don't know this song. I should probably look at all the notes and figure out those intervals and jumps." And it took me a minute, but I was able to sing it, and I didn't have a problem with it. Now, there were others at the audition who did better than me because their oral skills were better and they could get it a lot cleaner, a lot quicker. But just the ability to look at it and be able to read that melody off of it is very important. If you're an instrumentalist, this means that you can hear a melody once from like just listening to a song and immediately translate that song into your instrument with very little trial and error. Just be able to hear a song and say, "Oh, that's this note and this note," and be able to play it. If you're a composer or a songwriter, it means you can hear a song in your head and put it down on paper without having an instrument in front of you. Michael Jackson, Beethoven, very famous composers who were rather famous for doing that. They didn't really have to write it down as much. They could just say, "Okay." They didn't have to have an instrument in front of them. They could just say, "Okay, this is what it's going to sound like. This is what the instrument is going to be playing, and they're going to be playing this note, this note, this note," because they could hear it in their heads and they could translate it immediately. So those aural skills are important. Now, for this week's assignment, here's what you're going to do. You're going to click the link directly below this video where it says D3 Interval Aural Skills Activity. Okay, so you're going to open that up. It's going to take you to this page that looks just like this. What you're going to do is you're going to use a website, one of my favorite websites, to fill in this chart, with each of the intervals songs. So you're going to click this link, and it's going to take you to the interval song chart maker. And it's just a fun little website, and it's set up very well, very easy to use. What you're going to do is you're going to go through here, and you're going to look at these songs for each of the intervals. You're going to say, "Okay, which of these songs is going to help me remember that interval sound? Is it going to be Jaws for the minor second going up? Is that going to help me remember the most? Or is something better going to be on this list?" So you got, White Christmas, Isn't She Lovely, Pink Panther, I Left My Heart in San Francisco. All of those use the minor second very early on in these songs. Now, if you look at a song and go, "I think I know that song, but I'm not sure," all you got to do is you click on YouTube right next to that song. And if you, for instance, if you're like Pink Panther, I think I know that song. What does it sound like again? Click on YouTube. It's going to take you right to the YouTube of that song. Okay, it's going to take you right to it. So you can say, "Oh, I do know that song. That's a good choice." So then you'd go back to the chart and you'd say minor second, the Pink Panther. And that's all you have to do is just write in the song that helps you remember that interval. So if you choose all the same songs that I gave you already for this assignment, that's fine. If all of those songs are songs you already know and that helps you, awesome. If there's a song you don't know from the list that I gave you and say, "This doesn't help me at all," okay, then go look. Now remember, you only need going up and down for minor second all the way up to perfect fifth. And then you don't need to have going down for minor sixth, minor seventh, major sixth, major seventh. But then you need to have it for the perfect octave going down as well. And that's all the assignment is this week. Next week, we're going to be going a bit more into this. We're going to be starting to test your ability to listen to those intervals and go, "Oh, I know this. It sounds like this. That means it's this interval." So that's next week. But for now, all you got to do is start to build those connections in your brain so that when you hear that interval, you can start to be going, "Oh, I think I know that one. That's that song." Okay? That's all we're doing this week. I hope you guys have a good time with it. If you have any questions, please let me know.